Daybreak here on Arise News, and it's time for the press preview. A first look at what's on the front pages just as they arrive. Let's take a look at this day newspaper, our sister publication. It's leading with the vice president and what he's saying. It says Osinbajo says, "I've decided to run. I owe no one else any allegiance." He's some writers to that story says, "Oath sworn only to Nigeria," and boasts he'll hit the ground running. Meanwhile, Abiodun says he's eminently qualified to be president. That's the vice president. And Alake prays, "May you come back to my palace as president." The leading photo on this day this morning, Buhari receives AFDB president. Now, that's the special advisor to the president on industrialization. With the AFDB president, Akinwumi Adesina, and President Muhammadu Buhari during his visit at the State House yesterday. More headlines here. Pregnant woman abducted in Kaduna-bound train delivers in captivity. Terrorists release new photos of over 62 kidnapped passengers. Above that, DSS raises the alarm over plots to bomb worship places and public infrastructure. That's scary. More on that on page 11.
In the Guardian newspaper, from one APC candidate to another, Ayade joins presidential race to withdraw if Jonathan declares. I'm not sure if that will happen. And new APC guidelines give Amechi Ngige 72 hours to resign or forget 2023 ambition. And the Salah holidays, DSS alleges plot to bomb worship and recreation centers. And Supreme Court voids Andy Uba's participation in Anambra governorship election.
All right, let's look at the Nation newspaper. It says PDP is a terrorist released photos of 62 train attack hostages. Family members demand action from NSA, identify abducted relatives. And then just below the pictures, those are the pictures of the abducted people. Just below it, you see Ayade Nwachuba joined race for APC ticket. Maybe Emmanuel will help us understand. Is there anything we don't know that's making all these people join the bandwagon, whether they have a chance or not? Then DSS wants of attacks on worship centers, relaxation joints, and infrastructure. And then just below, just below the Nation, the logo, as to frustrating negotiation, says federal government, how police chopper crashed. That's the Nation newspapers for you. Maybe I should add this before Nkechi comes up again. Atiku, Wike, Saraki, 14 others face PDP panel on Friday. You can get that on page 3.
Let's take a look at the Punch. It says presidency obese camp protest as PDP dumps zoning. Screening begins on Friday. Some writers, it will be injustice if Southeast is denied PDP ticket. Obese spokesman. While Atiku's aide says Nigeria needs a nationalist, not a regional leader. PDP says we can't stop any presidential aspirant. It's unconstitutional. The leading photo on the Punch this morning, Ogun Governor Abiodun declared support for Osinbajo's presidential bid. More on that on page 7. Above the nameplate of the Punch this morning, Rep summon Adebayo over MTN's alleged 2.6 trillion tax evasion.
I've got the international papers. The Times, Russia threatens strikes against Western targets.
All right. I think the Times, right? Okay, the Independent. Cabinet clash over plans to ease cost of living. Westwood accused of groping women. And then you have here the picture. 64-year-old DJ is accused of, that's Westwood, of misconduct against women. I think we should call in Emmanuel. Emmanuel Bello, glad to have you join us. Good morning. All right, let's start with this day newspapers. Osinbajo, I've decided to run. Fine and good. I owe no one else any allegiance. What's your sense of this statement? You've decided to run. Go on, run. You're running. What's your sense of where is this coming from? What do you think about that statement?
Well, it's coming from the vice president, certainly, and what he's doing there is a pushback. You know, right after he declared, his godfather Tinubu, you know, drew the first blood, as the case is, by saying that he has no son old enough to be president. That statement was seen as a slight and one that was supposed to reduce, you know, the stature and the esteem of the vice president. So this is him hitting the ground running, like he said, and trying to fight back and try to say that, look, I'm on my own. I don't have to take permissions from anyone. I've come of age. He says so much of that during his declaration, where he pointed to his pedigree, whether it is in the judiciary, he's a lawyer of high standing, whether as a professor, or even his character. He's always touting that as the basis for this race. You know, someone who is trying to bring a different kind of politics, a different kind of character, a different kind of personality into the race. So he's saying that again. He's repeating those things, and no other place than, you know, before his guests and before the royal fathers of Ogun State, where he, you know, once again said, look, I don't need to, you know, take permission from anyone. I'm not anybody's boy. I'm a man of my own. I've come of age, and I can do this on my own. So this is he talking tough and reassuring his base that he's not turning back and that he's already in this race. And he gave his reason. He said, look, my allegiance is to the Nigerian constitution, to the Nigerian people, and not to some godfather. It's a repudiation of that relationship that a lot of people think would be, you know, he's been called a betrayer, he's been called a Judas, and I think this is a pushback from him, saying that, look, I can do this, it's in my right to run, and so I do not need to take permission from anyone. I don't think that will go down well with the Tinubu camp, who continuously try to badger him into a position, saying that he's betrayed the trust that a lot of people think that, okay, fine, because your boss was going to run for office. You saw in one of the stories, I had saying, look, if Jonathan is going to run, I'm not running. So those are the kind of things that Nigerians, or some Nigerians, expect of Osinbajo, that, look, your boss is in this race. Almost the first person to say he was going to run. Why are you running? That's one set of thinking. Another set of thinking is saying that, look, he has the right to run. And even himself is saying, look, I'm not anybody's boy. I'm not under anybody's shadow. I can run. And so he's repeating what he's always said.
Well, Emmanuel, definitely will be expecting some reply from Tinubu's camp. I mean, on the run-up to leading to the 2023 election, it seems like there's going to be a lot of back and forth as usual, even as Osinbajo is throwing what they call subtle shade to his former boss, Tinubu. Amechi, who was in Ogun State, also threw a little bit of shade to Osinbajo when he was saying, I know he's your son, to the Ogun State delegates, but I am more qualified, I have more experience. And let's not forget that Amechi, Ngige, and some others may be facing disqualification. They've been given 72 hours to resign. If not, they should forget their ambition. Now, let's take a look at the leading photo on The Punch, where Osinbajo has a picture with the Ogun State Governor, Abiodun, who has declared support for his presidential bid.
Yes, that's for Osinbajo. That's a big one, and the governor was very clear about it, that Osinbajo provided a lot of support for him when he was also in the race. So this payback time. So yes, it's just I think there's just another support base for Osinbajo, and as Ogun State so close to Lagos State, I think that's if Tinubu is holding sway in Lagos, Osinbajo is probably countering it with another big one from Ogun State and getting a very clear-cut support, backing from the governor. So he has that already in the kitty. But politics for what it is, of course, other politicians are going to try their luck, even in this state, to see how much they can get out of the voters in this state. But this is a big push for him, a big one for him, and of course, it's one that I'm sure his base will really, really want to, lean on and talk about their candidacy.
While we look forward to the news of resignations today, Emmanuel, security is an important issue, and Arise News has been following this. We aired an exclusive earlier. A pregnant woman was abducted in the Kaduna-bound train, is delivered in captivity. And the DSS is warning of attacks during the celebrations that are coming up. I wonder, should these warnings be coming to the citizens, or are the security agencies supposed to step up their surveillance? Shouldn't we, take them unawares? Why should everyone know about this?
Well, you're right, Kenneth, and it's part of the crisis that we keep talking about, the security apparat. But of course, these warnings, they want some form of citizens buy-in into, because they keep saying, you heard what the NSA said the other day, that it's not just about the security, bodies, but also individuals, Nigerian citizens must also play their parts in securing the country. Part of it is to be very, very attentive to what's going on around you, to know what's happening, to avoid certain places. And you're right, if they're going to help everyone, one of the ways to go about it is those surprise sting attacks, where they take the bad guys unawares. But with this, they are actually going one step ahead to say, okay, you are warned. You have to be very security conscious yourself and to know what to do, especially during those long breaks and those long holidays coming ahead of us, where sometimes you could just relax and just you are not very attentive what's happening. But yes, the big job of securing this country still lies in the hands of the people that we're paying, to secure us, those that are holding on to the to leadership. It's their job, it's their call to make, and if we citizens continue to ask them to do the right thing, we're not making a wrong call. It is the first order of leadership that you should secure lives and property. And that's why a lot of people say this presidency and the president has failed, because his first job is to secure lives and properties, and if he cannot do that, that's seen as a massive failure on his side. So yes, you can get the citizen to support what you're doing. You need them to be attentive. You need them to actually also report what they are seeing and to take certain measures. We all do that in our day-to-day lives, but the greater job of securing this country still lies in the hand of those that we are paying, those who are taking taxpayers' money, those who have the arms, those who have the wherewithal to protect us. We look up to them to do that.
Said that of their job is to warn you, is to get you ready, and that's part of their security job, so citizens know what is happening around them and be conscious. But let's talk about Obi's camp protesting as PDP dumps zoning. Screening begins on Friday, and Obi's camp is saying if the East doesn't get it, that is injustice. Very briefly, Emmanuel, what's your thinking on that?
Well, I mean, those were the sentiments day before yesterday at the Igbo Congress meeting, where speaker after speaker said, look, if you do not zone, and in fact, one of the rallying cry that there was zoning matters. If everyone was chanting it, zoning matters, saying, look, zone this to the southeast. Don't even play around it. Don't make any mistake. Don't talk about the south. Don't talk about any. Just zone. The PDP should zone its ticket, or any other party should zone their position of the presidency to the southeast. So it's I think Obi and his camp are actually reiterating this, because each time the PDP says, look, we are opening up the zoning system to accommodate everyone. The southeast, for the southeast, and even for the south, that sounds like saying that, look, you are not actually ready to zone it to the south or to the southeast. That's what it seems like, and they want to push the PDP to say, look, we are zoning this to a particular place. The APC is trying to do that. It's trying to say, look, we are zoning this ticket to this particular zone. But the PDP has played around this issue for too long, and of course it's obvious now that it's going to be an open, it's been reported before, they've denied it, but it's so clear now that they are opening up the zoning system. Some people like that. They say, look, that will attract more people. The PDP itself is saying that, look, you can't actually stop someone from running, that it's unconstitutional, it's undemocratic. But what a lot of people are saying is that, why not zone it to a particular place? Of course, there's never a time in our history that power was zoned to a particular place that other people don't try their luck, even with a zoning system. So what some people want is PDP coming out to say, we have zoned this to the southeast or to the south or to the south, wherever they're zoning. But now saying that, look, it's an open, it's a free-for-all, everyone can come into it. There are people who are really not happy with that. It seems to me as if it's an attempt to actually foreclose the south and not to zone it to the south, and to buy into into what others, people like the, Saraki Atiku are saying, that the path to PDP victory must pass through the north, and that it must have a northern candidate. It's something that a lot of southern politicians are really fighting and resisting.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel.